All right, guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Tweener Talk. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about what's going on in our tennis world today. We had some tournaments that just ended. We're also going to be talking about if this is Roger Federer's last dance, if 2021 is his last year. And we're also going to give our predictions on who are going to be this year's rising stars. And we are introducing a new segment. So stick to the podcast and tune in for that. And yeah, that's going to be our show. It should be a good one. Akil, how are you doing?
Pretty good. We got our first set of tournament winners on the ATP Tour and WTA in Abu Dhabi, but ATP in Delray Beach and Antalya. So yeah, there's a decent amount to talk about with the past week, and how we got a couple of new faces like Sebastian Corda continuing his breakthrough at the French Open, and De Minaur taking another step in his development, taking out that Antalya title.
All right, yeah. So let's get into it. So yeah, as you were saying, the first tournament, De Minaur, he won in Adelaide, and he defeated. I don't think it was a complete match. Yeah, he defeated Bublik. It was a walkover. But on his way to the tournament, he defeated some big name guys like Basilashvili, 6-2, 6-4. He also beat Goffin in a 3-set semi, which was an interesting match. Saw some of the highlights. 6-4, 3-6, 6-2. So what did you think of his performance in that?
I didn't really catch much of this. I believe that tournament was Antalya or something like that, but
Yes, that
yeah,
is
that was
correct.
played on a hard court this year. Usually, I'm pretty sure that tournament's on grass, but that got accommodated into our calendar with this first part of the year. So I didn't catch much of his run there. I did see the results, and I, I would, yeah, I think that it's it's pretty much all of those names that he beat. You expect him to get through, but I think I'd be pretty impressed with the Goffin win just because. Uh, I think following the restart, I don't think Goffin was really the same all of last year. So as far as what I saw he was doing in that tournament, Goffin, I thought he looked good. He must be looking good. So I think that regardless, that's a good win for him. And like Goffin's around the top 10, so that's pretty good win for him. And yeah, I mean, De Minaur, you pretty much know what you're gonna get. You get really strong mental toughness. He's as far as the mental side is concerned, he's pretty well beyond his years. And of course, what jumps off the screen with him is just how quick he is.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not sure how Antalya played, to be completely honest, but I think that on a relatively quick hard court, he's gonna do well because he's so fast, and he's not like your typical like grinder. If if he gets a quick court, I think that's where he's best suited, despite his speed being his biggest asset, because it helps to like nullify his deficiency in the power department. So yeah, I mean, great week for him, obviously.
Yeah, I agree. Both him and Goffin, I always consider them like the best of the shortest tennis players because they're not exactly tall, but they're fast and they kind of have a similar style. So yeah, I saw some of the highlights and it was a great match and a good win for De Minaur. And that's a good way to start the year, especially heading into the Australian Open. And another tournament, Abu Dhabi, in the women's side, Arnia Sabalenka, she won. some notable matches was she defeated Sakari, who's a really good tennis player. And she defeated Rybakina and Ons Jabeur, who is known for taking out the big guns in women's tennis. Any thoughts on that?
I did. I was, to be completely honest, I didn't. I followed. I saw Sakari making big stride. I mean, she's already been making big strides over the past year, but I saw a couple of her results that were really impressive. Let's see. I'm not. Do you ever draw on? I remember
Yeah,
her having a couple of notable wins.
yeah, I can pull that up real quick. To give you guys some context, we are both in our dorms right now. Right now, we're trying to focus on school, so some of these smaller tournaments before the Grand Slams, it's kind of hard to pay attention to, but you know, we have to shout out these small tournaments because it's these tournaments that matter as well, also just as much.
Yeah, she beat Kenin. She's the world number one right now. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. She beat Kenin and Muguruza. So
Two solid.
those
Those are two solid wins.
two
Yeah.
really good wins. Yeah, and we remembered. Oh yeah, and she beat Coco earlier in the tournament, and we remember her having a couple of making strides last year with she beat Serena at the Western and Southern Open last in Cincinnati last.
Oh,
Not
I
really
mean,
Cincinnati, but
yeah, that was
um
a horrible thing to do for me as a ball boy. I was looking forward to that, but they just had to shift it to New York, which makes sense. Less travel, less chance of COVID, but that was unfortunate. But yeah, yeah.
yeah, she beat Serena there. She played Serena really tough at the US Open too.
Mhm.
So yeah, she's making strides, and then of course the champion Sabalenka. Not really. I didn't really see her path as much as because of
It
Sakari.
was
Obviously,
it wasn't nearly as tough as Sakari's, but she still prevailed. You know, I've seen a bit of her play in matches. She kind of reminds me of like a Serena Williams type player. She's all about power. She has the big serve, big forehand, and she's very vocal on the court.
mm,
She's like a Serena Williams type player. So yeah, she's also off to a great start. And are there any other tournaments? Let's see. I saw Sebi Corda was in the final of one tournament.
oh yeah,
Seb,
Delray Beach. Yeah.
yeah, he lost to Herbert Hurkacz, up and coming Polish tennis player. So yeah, what would you make of that match at all? If you saw it.
I actually did get to see a lot more of the matches there, particularly Corda, just because um he's the latest probably hope for American tennis after we've gone through Tiafo, who else?
Tommy Paul got a bit of hype too.
Tommy Paul to Jared Donaldson a couple of years ago, but it seems like Sebastian Corda would be next up, and
And
he
then there
made
was a
that.
sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. All right. Well, I was gonna say, who lost to Shapovalov in the
Oh,
U.S. Open last
Fritz,
year?
Fritz, yeah,
Taylor Fritz.
yeah.
He's an up and coming
Mm.
player too. But yeah, yeah, Sebi Corda seems to be a Sebastian Corda. I believe he did train at the Rafa Nadal Tennis Academy for a bit. And yeah, his path actually, he beat Isner, which is never
Mm-hmm.
easy with Isner's ginormous serve. He beat Tommy Paul. He beat Cam Norrie, who's
Yeah.
also like a young and up and coming player from England. But well, not unfortunately, I don't have any ties to it, but his run came to an end against Herbert Hurkacz, who is, again, he's made himself known as a solid tennis player.
Yeah, I caught a couple of Corda's matches down in Delray, and yeah, it looks really promising. And considering he's the son of Peter Corda, former Australian Open champion, we have a lot of reason to be excited with him. He reminds me of a more like mobile Berdych kind of. He's a really clean ball striker, and his forehand can go awry. His backhand is really really good, but yeah, just a really good ball striker, and he seems like a really good athlete. That final ended up being more anticlimactic kind of than what
Yeah.
you would have expected, just because I I caught like the last set and a half of that, and yeah, Sebastian Corda, he had some little I think it was like a leg issue in that match, so he got out to a 3-1 lead in that match before dropping a couple of games in a row, and but overall a great week for him. He
Yeah, he
after
had a
after
he had a signature win against Isner, who was the 2 seed in that tournament. And I'm looking at the stats here. Korda won 82% of his first serve percentage, and Isner won 65,
mm,
which you don't normally see.
yeah.
Isner's, you always would, like, just by watching his game, you'd expect it to be in like the 80 percentages or
Hmm.
90 percentages. So that just means Korda plays, he's a good returner and he plays some solid defense, which
And
is promising.
also, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
We saw Corda make a pretty decent run at the French last year. Got to the round of 16 where he met his. Hey, this is why we should be rooting for Corda, because he, like the both of us, is a massive Rafa Nadal fan, and he got the opportunity to play Rafa Nadal on Chatrier in that round of 16 at the French Open, and
Yep.
everything we read going into that match, that kid was like the dude's my idol. I can't believe I'm getting to play him, and I believe he had his cat's named Rafa too. So
That's when you
you know,
know you're a major fan, when you name your cat Rafa. I don't think Rafa's really a cat name, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm seeing that match now. He lost Nadal 6-1, 6-1, 6-2, but 99% of the players aren't any more successful than Korda is. I remember that match because Kyrgios was talking about it, and he was saying something along the lines of Korda was being too much of a fanboy, and that's why he got crushed.
yeah,
That's
I
an
mean,
interesting take.
yeah, there's nothing you can do if yeah, unless you're. I mean, even if you're the top, like Djokovic, Federer, even they've been crushed by Rafa at the French. There's not much to say about that. He's an enigma there. So, um, but I mean, I just have to say, if either of us had that kind of ability to make it on the pro tour, I'm pretty sure both our mindsets would be the same as Sebastian Cordes getting to play Rafa Nadal and Chatrier.
We'd just both be fanboying. I don't think we'd really care what happened in the
Yeah, I
match.
would
We'd just be
be.
like,
I would happily take that 2-1-1 beating or whatever it was.
yeah, I think the thing I'd look forward to the most is taking the picture at the coin toss. That would be the best part. And then also, maybe winning a couple points here and there,
Mm.
maybe a couple games. But yeah, just playing the doll, playing your idol.
Yeah, I
That's like,
mean,
yeah,
looks like he
unanimous.
has a bright future. I think after his final result, he's 103rd in the world. He moved up, and I think he would have been like in the low 80s had he won the title. But nonetheless, I mean, it's a great run, and on the event that I don't think, yeah, he's not playing Australia, but in the event that I mean, it's certainly possible now that certain players get COVID and aren't able to play that are already slated to play in Australia. If you get an opening, I would certainly consider giving Sebastian Corda a wild card in or something along those lines.
Yeah, a lot of players have started traveling to Australia. They have to start the quarantine. I just Googled Australian Open, and the first article I see is from Yahoo Sports, and it says, "Awful news: tennis world rocked by sad Andy Murray announcement." So we have to see what that is.
Yeah, I did hear about that earlier this morning that he tested
Oh,
positive, but
yep.
I don't think he's totally ruled out from playing yet because he just missed the deadline to like take the Australian Open like chartered flights out to Australia, but I'm not sure if he's totally ruled out. I think he might be able to still make it on a later date if he's able to recover by the if he tests positive by a certain date before the tournament starts. So
Yeah. Tennis
I mean,
is
you hope,
always
yeah, you
better
hope
when Murray's in it.
exactly, yeah, you hope for the best for him in that. And we also saw a similar thing with Dominic Thiem's coach Nicholas Massou. Same thing with him. He was unable to travel with team to Australia because of also because he tested positive, I believe.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I think Nadal's coach is also not able to come, Kamoya, because of
Yeah,
COVID. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players
Moya.
adjust.
Yeah, Moya. I think that he set out more just to stay back with his family, with just how the pandemic is still going on, and you know it's still wreaking havoc there and pretty much everywhere else.
Yeah, even if Moya doesn't come, Nadal still has a great coaching corner with Francisco Roig in his box. That's also a nice coach to have. But speaking of not being able to attend Australian Open, our next topic, Federer, he announced earlier that he would not be attending the Australian Open. So I put this question on the table to you. Do you think 2021 is his last year?
Um, I mean, yeah, gun to my head, I say yes. I say yes
Dang.
because just coming back off of this is even longer than his layoff in 2017. At least then he last played at Wimbledon. He was coming off like 6 months off. This time he has not played since Australia last year. When he next takes the court, it's going to be over a year since he last played a professional tennis tournament. And
This is
that's not to say I don't think he'll do well. I think he's going to do pretty well. I think I made a video about it. I think he's still going to have a relatively nice year. He certainly could still threaten at Wimbledon,
yeah.
and and yeah, I think his ranking is still 5 just because the ranking system was adjusted last year to
Because
just
of
give
COVID, yeah.
players more flexibility in skipping tournaments if they wanted to, just because these are really special circumstances. But um, I think it's his last year because it's an Olympics year too.
Yeah,
So
that's true. He
I
did
think
say
for
that he wanted to play in one more Olympics before he
yeah, exactly.
retired.
For the longest time, he's wanted to play the Olympics again, and he couldn't in 2016 because he was yeah that was in the middle of his first big knee injury then, and he couldn't play then. So I think he's always been wanting to stick around until 2020. And last we saw of him, he was still one of the top. He was still one of the top 3 players in the world. So I think he'll stay around 5. I think it would be very impressive if he ended this year higher than Medvedev and Team, but I think he'll stay 5. I wouldn't rule him out of Wimbledon, but if 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 I had to say, I would say yeah, this is probably going to be his last year, but I wouldn't be surprised if he kept going.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. But as you said too, you can never count out Federer. Like Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, they're all just on their own level. So you should not be surprised if Federer comes out and just wins Wimbledon because he's just that good. And you also shouldn't be surprised if he does announce his retirement at the end of 2021 because he's had one of the most successful. Well, currently, I think he has the most successful tennis career with
Mm-hmm.
20 Grand Slams. He has a lot of other titles. So, yeah, that should be interesting to see what he does. Hopefully, he plays longer. us as fans
Yeah,
might want to. Well, we wouldn't be against him playing till he was 50, but it all just depends on his condition and how
yeah,
he feels.
he's the biggest icon the sport has ever had. Like the dude's popularity has it's transcended just tennis. Like most casual fans, even if they aren't big tennis fans, know Federer. Most sports fans know Federer. That's the first name that people think of really if they're just like casual about following sports in general. Like yeah, chances are they'll know Federer before anybody else. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean he's been such a great ambassador for the sport. So yeah, you just hope he can keep chugging however much longer that he can.
Yeah, we need him to keep playing, especially because he started Labor Cup. Hopefully, Labor Cup continues on even after Federer retires, which I think it will. Definitely won't be as intriguing with him not being there, but do you think they'll play Labor Cup without him?
Dude, I think on it since it's not a pro tournament. I mean, they do points actually technically, I guess, but I could see Federer even past retirement still taking part in like Labor Cup because it's his event. Like
That's
it's
true. Iconic black courts, I believe, was his idea, right?
yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's his brainchild, that event. Like it was his idea to just behind it all, and I think his like agency made that tournament happen. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him even after he retires from pro tennis. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still playing there. I mean, when he retires, I doubt he's going to be like washed or over the hill. I think he'll still be a very good tennis player, and yeah, I could still see him playing out on like the senior tour or and Laver Cup. Yeah,
I don't think he's going to play on the senior tour. I think, yeah, maybe Labor Cup, but when he retires, I think he's going to enjoy the life of
yeah, you
retirement,
could
which
see
he
that too.
most definitely deserves.
Yeah, he has two sets of twins. I could see that also. Just wants to settle down with his family.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. All right, so we have a new segment which we are calling Ace or Fault. Pretty unique title in my opinion, but this is a segment where I'm just going to list off players, and Akil is going to tell us if they're an ace, they're going to have a successful 2021 year, or if they're a fault, and if they're going to bust. So, first one on the list is Francis Tiafo.
Um, yeah, he's had a
Not
rough go of it recently. So I used to be a really big believer in him. So,
one of the nicest players on tour. I
yeah,
ball
he
boyed for
is.
him once, and he was
Mm,
just very nice and like very nice to the ball kids. This is a cool dude, but yeah, keep going.
I really want to say Ace, but I don't really have that much evidence to really point to that I can say that I have confidence he's gonna have a big year. So I don't think he'll bust. I think he'll be a fault. I think you'll see something along the lines of something that we've seen out of him. You've seen the flashes of talent. He's pushed a couple of big names. Like I think he had a tough match with Medvedev last year in the Australian Open that he lost, and before that he took Sasha Zverev 5 at the U.S. Open 2
He
years
took
ago.
he took Federer 5 sets one of the years at the U.S. Open. I
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think you'll still see that same kind of like he'll flash his talent, but just not consistently enough to have it really make have him make an impact on the tour.
All right. Next, we have Fabio Fonini.
Hmm. Let's see. Fonini is an interesting case. I mean, I think he peaked in 2019. I don't think it's going to get any better for him. So, um, I'm between bust and and fault here. I don't know let me see where Fonini ended last year. Because
Yeah, what?
I don't remember him really doing anything of note last year, despite the abbreviated season. I think he came back to earth from his great 2019 a little bit,
In
and that's not saying.
2019, yeah, he beat Nadal at Monte Carlo in the quarter or semifinals and went on to win that tournament. I
Yeah, he
think
never.
that was his best result in
Mhm.
tennis, in his tennis
Yeah,
career, winning
he
a
never
Masters
really.
1000.
Yeah, exactly. He always plays Nadal tough for some reason, and it's really annoying. But um, I mean, you just even in his best year, I don't think you really expect consistency out of him. But that was as consistent as it got for him, I think. And let's see, I'm pretty sure he's also in his. Let's see, how old? Yeah, he's 33, so he's not a player I really anticipate. I mean, his game is pretty effortless. It's easy power, so I just don't know if the consistency is going to hold him back from be. I think 2019 is as good as it gets, so I'll say fault on him. So he'll still produce big performances. It's like Tiafo, but to a greater extent, as far as
Mm-hmm.
the big performances being even more impressive and in your face.
Yeah, all right. We're going to throw a name that shocked the world in 2019 as well, Bianca Andreescu, where she rose to fame beating Serena Williams in Montreal, and then she went on to beat Serena Williams again in the U.S. Open. Then she took 2020 off because of injuries, and I believe she cited COVID as a reason of not wanting to risk playing. So 2021, what do you think she does? Ace or bust? Fault?
Health is a big it's the biggest factor in her success, but I'll say Ace. I mean, she's my favorite of the younger prospects in the women's game, and you have a lot of really good ones out there right now. But I like her the best, and if she's healthy, I think it has to be Ace. I don't. She didn't really play at all last year, so there's not really much to build on there. Um, Maybe actually, I don't even know if she'll be rusty because injury. She's been kind of start and stop throughout her career. Even in the middle of 2019, she got hurt, and she came back and immediately won Montreal. And even before that, she'd won in Indian Wells that year. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think the moment she comes back, she'll hit the ground running and she'll get better and better. So yeah, I'll say Ace.
Yeah. All right. Next one we briefly spoke about her, Maria Sakkari, who, fun fact, unveiled her new logo, which is a pretty cool looking logo. But what do you think about her?
Um, I mean, I think she's starting to make the most of like what she can do. I think that as of the last year, she's had a couple of really good results, and yeah, I think this is probably in the midst of her prime. I don't. Let me check her age. I don't even know.
She's 25 years old, and her last at the U.S. Open, she made a nice run where she
Yeah,
made
she
it to the
lost to
round of
Serena in a
six.
tight one.
Yeah, she lost to Serena in the round of 16 in tough three-setter. And in Cincinnati, well, yeah, as you said earlier, technically Cincinnati last year, she made it to the quarters, losing to Konta, but she did beat Serena on the way there. And she also did beat another up-and-coming star in Coco Gauff in straight sets.
Yeah,
So she has a lot of promise, but
yeah, she does.
2021, ace or fault.
Yeah, I'll say Ace. I'll say she continues in that upward trajectory that really started last year more than anything. So yeah, I'll say Ace.
All right, here's an interesting one. Karen Khachanov. Sorry.
For next year, I'll say fault, but in the grand scheme of things, I think Kachina has been a bit of a bust since he really he started turning heads in like 2017, 2018. He thought he could be really good, and he's just regressed each of the last 2 years. And let's see. I know you can't really use like winning Paris as big a barometer because it's probably it's the most open Masters on tour to win, since so many guys are fatigued and banged up by that point in the year. So
Look, that means credit to him. He wasn't worn down and he was able to survive that long into the year to win it.
Absolutely. But still, after 2018, how he ended that year winning Paris, and then a really monster four-setter of a match against Nadal at the U.S. Open that year.
That was a five-setter. That was a five-setter.
Wait, no, that one was in 2018 against. That one took like 4 hours, but it was a four-setter. It was a really tight four-setter. Yes.
Oh, you're right. I could have sworn it was 5. Yeah.
Yeah, but after those strong showings, I really expected better out of him, but he's kind of been made to look a little one-dimensional as just kind of ball bashing and not really having a plan B outside of just trying to hit the cover off the ball. So, yeah, I the way he's played the last 2 years, you've again seen flashes, but not even of the flashes, not as many as you would think. And so I'd say another. Yeah, I think this is the closest. I haven't said a bust yet, so I think this is the closest to one. And yeah, I'll lean bust as far as Hachinov.
All right. And our next one, another one who's kind of old, but John Isner. Do you think this is his last year of playing? He's kind of old too.
Maybe because yeah, Isner's been.
He's been kind of one and dones in the past couple tournaments.
He's always had injury issues, and he didn't look good after coming back from the suspension of ever since the restart last year. Hasn't looked very good, and your serve can only. I think with the serve, he has arguably the greatest serve of all time, so he's always going to be like a top, hovering around top 20, top 25. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to be as dangerous a floater as he once used to be just because of his serve. Because yeah, he's aging, and I don't think he'll be as dangerous to top players anymore, but could still see him win like a 250 or two throughout the year. And so yeah, I'll say fault on him. I can't say he'll have a big year, but with that serve, he can still have a decent like 1, 2 titles, maybe like a fourth round quarterfinal of a major here or there.
All right, and then the last one I actually just thought of, Sophia Kenin. She certainly had her extreme highs, winning the Australian Open against Muguruza last year, and then in the clay court season, she kind of fell apart in, I believe, Monte Carlo. She lost to Azarenka 0-0.
That was
isn't Rome, exactly the greatest performance. Rome. But she made a deep run in the U.S. Open, I want to say.
I don't think she made the final of the French that last year, losing to Swiatek after the.
Yeah, you're right. She made the final. And then in the U.S. Open, she lost in the round of 16 to Elise Mertens. But 2021, what do you think? Ace or fault?
I think she'll go backwards from last year. I don't think, and that's not really because I think she'll just have kind of a sophomore slump after breaking through last year. It's just because the game that she plays is it's more based on like smarts and like being really gritty and being willing to really just slug it out. And as far as just being a counterpuncher type. And I don't think that I think that more people are gonna start like being able to hit through her per se. Not that's just the issue that I have with it's as far as like her being able to like her having like this uh like boom sort of potential, you know.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
Yeah, I just think that'll hold her back, and she'll still probably be very consistent and go deep in a couple of majors, but I don't think she'll win one.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that wraps up this week's episode. Next week's episode, I think, is going to be a lot of fun considering the Australian Open starts next week.
Oh
We're
yeah,
going to preview some. Yeah, it says Australian Open January 20th.
I know
Unless,
the
of
Australian
course,
Open. Wait, Australian Open starts in February this year. They pushed it back because
did they?
yeah, it's like
Oh, I
February
was
8th.
looking at 2020s. Okay, yeah. Okay, it starts February 8th. All right, so
Yeah,
we
I
still have a
mean,
couple of weeks till that. So
yeah, in these next couple of weeks, we don't really have any tennis till later in January with those
ATP
Melbourne
Cup.
ATP Cup in Mel, and I think they have two fifties in Melbourne, something like that. But I mean, over the coming weeks, yeah, we'll still have a decent amount to talk about as far as predictions for this year, and just
Can't wait to preview big
yeah,
time
stuff of that
matches.
nature. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, we look forward to that. But this wraps up our second show, and we hope to see you for our next show, episode 3. Yep. Thank you guys for listening, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.